Hey, this is Bobby from the band 16. We have a new album out called Guides for the Misguided, and you are listening to the Vulgar Display of Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the Vulgar Display, a podcast live from the Barn Studio. You got the Mox, Anthony, Mike, and Dale, and we're joined online right now with a special guest. We have Bobby from 16. Bobby, how are you, man?
I'm good, as they say in life. Peaks and valleys.
hmm
So I'm in the middle between some of that.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit off air. You're not in LA right now, but obviously have some connection there. You are in, the San Diego area, and just hoping everybody stays safe out there, right?
Whew. It's fire on the mountain, so it's you can smell it, but it's further enough for my home, but still sketchy.
hmm
Still
Absolutely.
sketchy.
We on a different note, Guides for the Misguided comes out February 7th on Relapse Record. Your what album are you on at this point? What number is this?
10.
10 albums in.
Nice.
Just
And
can't stop.
Yeah.
yeah, and excited about some of these releases and some of these singles that you've released already. But tell us a little bit about like the beginning of Guides for the Misguided. When did this start? What was the process like? Where did you guys record it?
Um, so it was, there's really no hard start date. We're strangely productive for how long we've been a band. And I attribute that to just doing it so long. This is just what we do. We hang out, we write songs, we still practice, twice a week, sometimes more if we're bored. We're like big advocates for just jamming and seeing what sticks and what doesn't, and following whoever's inspired. We get to follow them, and if I'm inspired, you follow me. If guitarist is inspired, we follow him. It's just kind of a natural thing. So, it takes so long for records to, when you put them in the can, for them to be released. In that time frame, we probably wrote three or four songs, and then by the time it hit through that year, we had already written another 10 songs in between, going on tour for a few weeks, and then playing some shows, and then playing some local shows. So it's just kind of like there's no hard date. It's kind of the pace we work at for like the past decade. And I'm the type of person that I like to think like I'm not into my old stuff. I'm not into looking back. The only thing that really does it for me is the creation and like making new stuff come out of the speakers. And so as long as I'm making new stuff come out of the speakers that I'm still like stoked on to be as California as I can for you guys. Don't worry about it. I'll say awesome too.
Okay.
Some awesome riffs,
Yeah.
and some fucking tasty arrangements. I'm kidding. Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, some killer songs. That's the goal, man. That's the goal. So it came together, and then we really spent about a year recording it, and not like Chinese democracy or anything. It's just like, hey, let's lay them down, let's lay the drums down, and then let's take our time with the drums. So, like once a week for, a month or a couple months, just come into our friend Alex Jacobelli, who has a studio here in San Diego called Sunsick. This is the first time we ever worked with him. He was awesome. We definitely bonded with him of getting guitar sounds and tweaking amps and just being the metal nerds we are. And so, it's kind of a long evolution to finish the record for us. And that's just kind of how we feel comfortable. And to be honest with you, spaced out like that, it makes it much more affordable. So, it serves two purposes, but then we can kind of fine tune the drum sound, get the bass sound we're looking for, make any arrangement choices or changes or God damn it, this part sucks, and so it's like, and that's how we kind of pieced everything together. But this one we worked with Alex, so I think it sounds great, because we really took a lot of time on tones. Normally we just go in there and this is what we sound like live, plug it in, go. That's what we've done for the past 25 years before. So now this is like some breathing room was given to the tones, and I'm pretty happy the way it turned out.
I have somewhat of a off-topic question, but I promise you I'll bring it back around. Are you familiar with the band Chat Pile?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're definitely big right now.
Yeah, they're killing it, right? And they're from Oklahoma City. So we actually interviewed them earlier today, and me and Mike were blown away. They're 40-year-olds, and they only have two albums out, but they've kind of been doing it a while. They
Yeah,
actually write the old school way, which we don't hear about much, is they all get in the same room and they write. Is that kind of what you were talking about? Do you guys actually get together in person and start to put these songs together?
yeah, yeah. Like whoever has the idea, and then something could evolve out of a cool jam, or Alex the guitarist demos stuff, but the way it's demoed and the way it ends up is could be 100% different. Like there's something, like you can hear when it's just one guy doing everything, and then he's like, here's the demo and here's how it sounds. I think that lacks a little depth. I think that it's like a sports team, like everybody plays their own positions and stuff comes naturally, like osmosis, by the way everybody plays it together. And that's where you get like fucking magical jams, man, and magical bands, that you couldn't take one person out, because it would affect the creative process. So I like to think that we kind of operate that way. Like I said, uh, I bring the lyrics, I bring the vocals. Alex brings the guitar part and the general, kind of skeleton, and then we collectively uh, negotiate or argue it into existence for where everybody's feeling it and everybody has buy-in, and then that just works so much better.
Now, I might be a little old school, but man, you can hear it. You can hear the albums where the people get in the room together and they write together. Oftentimes it sounds, if it's the other way, I think it sounds like mechanized, like a computer. It's
like
too much.
AI.
Yeah, it's like AI, and they when they quantize the drums and all these like tricks that you can do. I just think when you get guys in the room together, that's where the true cohesion and the art takes place. But I'm in my 40s, so I'm old school. So
I'm older than you.
So, to kind of go back to what you're saying earlier about, you're into the new music, you want to release it, you want to give it to the world and stuff. How do you counteract that with, like, you're getting ready to go on tour next week or the week after? How do you counteract that with, writing a set list and things like that? What do you usually do with creating that?
Well, I mean, since we now have 10 records, and like some songs are important to people, like if you show up and you got tattoo of the lyrics from a song that we released in 1995 and you want to hear this, I'm down.
mhm.
I owe it to you. So, I don't, I'm not like, I'm not like the guy that like forces the new stuff on everybody. If you paid a ticket, generally there's like, I mean, the data suggests, I should say, that there's like 2 to 3 songs off of every record that stick,
Mhm.
that like really stick. And luckily we have those songs. So, I can put together 40 minutes to an hour if people have the time, uh, or 30 minutes, and we can pretty much cover. I'm never playing like the whole record. It's always like 2 3 songs off each record. It's just how it's evolved. I'm not like gonna punish people with shit they never heard, because hearing something for the first time is a bit jarring anyways. Doesn't matter. You want to hear the shit so I'm a fan too. So when I see bands, man, you got to play the hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Been doing this for a long time, right? So, do you feel like you're getting better at it the longer you do it?
I'm allowed to cuss, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, man. I used to suck at this. And still people were putting out records for me. So, I feel like just like anything, I've done it for 30 years. I feel like I can make a band work and just keep going. And also I feel challenged in my playing and in my vocals. So it's all good there, you know.
I think having 10 albums that shows, that it gets better, progresses over time.
I like to think so. I like to think
What's your most memorable show you've ever played? That's
so.
probably
So
35 years, bro.
yeah, there's a few. There's a few. So, like shit. Let me look on the wall. In like 2009 or 2010, we played Hellfest. We were like on the same stage as like Dillinger Escape Plan, and like fuck, it was crazy. It's crazy. And then we saw Carcass do all of Heartwork. But so that show was mind blowing, but that's not the show. We were on our way to that show, and we were in France. Um, uh, or no, sorry. So yeah, that was one, but another one was in France too. That was epic, just because of I'm a huge music fan, and we got to see Motorhead and all that shit. That's like that's like hitting the rock and roll lottery. But one of the most memorable was in France, in a little town, in a basement with no the toilet was a trash can with a toilet seat over it with leaves thrown in it, where if you had to take a shit, you just took a shit in the pile of leaves. And it was in a winery, and it was in a place called Nevers, France, which is like a fucking castle to begin with. And, like it maybe held 100 people, maybe 120. And, we just played this crazy show for an hour to the true believers. And, it was like the most French thing ever, because it's like, everyone was drinking wine because it was a venue. And then it was totally punk rock, as in everybody broke glass bottles everywhere. So it just turned into this really dangerous kind of thing. But, people grabbing the mic, your guitar, just like, it was like we worked this into an almost just a situation like very close. And we always talk about like that's like one of the most memorable gigs we've ever done, in a place with like like a fucking karaoke machine as a PA. But we rocked the joint, and it was crazy. It was just very close to dangerous. And so that, and the night after that with the promoter ended up being insane too. We went back to his house, and he drank too much and fell asleep in the bathtub. And then his girlfriend came over and started arguing with him and fighting with him. And then they both disappeared. So we were just in this dude's house. And so we ended up just, eating his bread and cheese and hanging out in his house. And he just never came back. We're just like, all right, well, see you later. But that's like one of the crazier, more awesome ones,
And you guys are actually leaving for a European tour, next week, right?
Yeah, next Wednesday.
How do you prepare for something like that, being gone overseas for as many days as you guys are going to be? And how well are you guys received over there? Are there certain areas that you're better received in?
Yeah, I mean, that's like anywhere, like there's just certain cities that you've hit, and you become like, I don't know, you've integrated into their scene, or you become someone's favorite band that you become influential in their little scene. So we do better than in some places than others. But like I like to say, like a Wednesday night in Hamburg, Germany is pretty much like a Wednesday night in St. Louis for us. And generally it's pretty bleak, so, but like, Italy's kind to us. Italy seems, Milan and those places seem to like us, Northern Italy. we keep going back to Budapest, Hungary. That's nice. Zagreb, Croatia is another place that's just like, I don't know why, man. You kind of hit there, and it is what it is. There's smarter people in the music industry sitting around thinking about this too, why things hit and things don't. And they don't, I guarantee you, they don't have an answer either.
I imagine it's often the places you've played before, and you come back and you see a better reception the second time around.
Not always.
In theory, that
Yeah,
would work, right? In theory.
yeah. I mean, in theory, that does work. But scenes are fickle things in each places. And if you're coming, I mean, it's been like 5 years since we've been to Europe since pre-COVID. So I'll leave my expectations at the door. But generally, we do good enough that people keep wanting us back. And so that's like success alone. And even if we're like, sometimes with us, we have so many records, like, we could play to a half full place, but those, 10 true believers buy absolutely every bit of merch we have. So, like, I like to say that sometimes we don't build an audience, you narrow them down.
Nice. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Yeah.
Well said.
We got a couple songs released. One with the video, Proudly Damned, sick song, sick video. Love that. And After All has the visualizer out now. Tell us about specifically releasing those as singles for the upcoming record.
When we wrote the After All, that was like the first song we wrote for this record, coming off the other record. And I think like performance wise and production wise, it like kind of was the template. Like, oh, okay, this is like we laid down like 3 or 4 songs, but Proudly Damned, the way it sounded, the whatever magic we captured in the rough production, we're like, okay, this is the template production wise that we want to kind of follow. So it was just like one of the songs that just rose to the top. It's, and also like, quote unquote, stylistically, it's a really good representation of kind of what we do. I mean, if you got to like synthesize a 16 song, it's Proudly Damned. It's like mid-tempo, scary, throwing some guitar harmonies, you're depressing lyrics, it's just I'm not gonna give it all away here, guys, but that's kind of like that's when I'm trying to write, when I think of the quintessential of what we do, that's pretty much it. It's pretty much it.
And when you go ahead, you got some. When you go to pick a single or the songs that you want to release beforehand, is that what you're looking for? Something that represents the album, in a single shot? Or are you looking for the catchiest one? Or like, what's the process of picking a single? What's that like?
It's kind of I always like wait literally 6 months after recording things to do anything with most of the music we do. For one, nobody needs to hear from us that often, like I just keep writing stuff and it adds up, and then we're like too close to a last record. So the time that we get to sit on it, tweak it, and listen to it, it's just, like the leaders arise on their own. Like it's just a consensus between us all. We're like, all right, that's it. It's never a forethought of like, this is the poppiest song that might be an anomaly on the record, but isn't kind of representative of what we sound like. I don't think we'd even think that way. I just, I think I said it on another interview, like, we ain't trying to write song number 8 on an album. I'm always trying to write song number 1. Like every song, it has the most maximum effort to like, this is it, so that's kind of where, and then you look back, 6 months later, and then you're like, okay, now I can organize these things. And I'm removed from the creative aspect of me just analyzing every stupid word I scream. So
how did the relationship form between 16 and Relapse?
Um, so, like, I mean, long story short, we had like a tribute MySpace page in like 2007, and I think they emailed us through MySpace and said, "Do you want to, you know, do you want to do a reissue of some records?" And so we were putting together the reissues for the record, Dropout, our first record, and this one called Blaze of Incompetence, and remastering and finding the originals and getting the rights. And then we played like one show, like a reunion show, when the band had gone through a bunch of changes in the 90s, like personnel. But for the most part, it's been me, the old singer Chris, and then a guy named Tony. I wrote maybe 75% of the songs. Tony wrote a good 25, some good songs we still play now. And they just said, we jammed one time for this show about the reissues. And then I just wrote 3 songs in that time. I'm like, check these out. And everyone's like, rad. And then we recorded them. We sent them to Relapse because we already had a dialogue going about the reissues. And they're like, well, you want to do another record? And we're like, yes. And literally it's been that way ever since. Like, I just kind of just keep rolling. I never, I try to make this as scalable as possible. I'm not about, spending a bunch of money and going into debt. I'm on the, we're on the sustainability path. I'm playing a long game here. I want to keep doing this as long as I can.
You've described this album as probably the closest concept record that you've ever written, maybe. And I know there's some like, religion and the hypocrisy in that. Can you talk about some of the themes of this record?
Yeah. I mean, again, that's kind of like something that emerges after it's done. So there was no intention to sit down and, I'm going to write like a atheist manifesto. I never think that. But it just, it just kind of came out after all of them, after all the songs. And again, like this, I preface this with, it's not at any way like a lot of good metal is talking about the devil and how bad so I'm just throwing dirt on it and hopefully doing our own thing. But essentially lyrically, I don't know, go for Danzig 1, like that's kind of just where it was kept landing for me. The song 3, Proudly Damned, there was a bit of intention to that one. We played in Salt Lake City. And we had played in Salt Lake City at this place, and then we had Thanksgiving. So we drove like 200 miles to my uncle's house in Kanab, Utah, with the whole band and us, and we had like family Thanksgiving in Kanab, Utah, and we were just on like a total band vision quest of like hiking around Zion and shit, and just being like, yo, we need to write a song about this. And the song was kind of based on the history of that town that we were in and the surrounding towns and all the fucking murder, and the blood that it was built on. And I'm not talking like 1850s. I'm talking like 1980s. Like there was this dude named Ervil LeBaron, who was basically a serial killer, who was the head of his own polygamous cult, that the bigger church kicked him out, and he came up with using this practice called blood atonement, where you get to kill people and shed their blood as a sacrifice for their sins. Like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes perfect fucking sense to me. I'm being facetious. And killed a bunch of people. And he had his girls they call him the Mormon Manson. He had other people kill people, members of his own family. And we're like, shit, when did that happen? And we're like, 1983. It was like, it was like in the 80s, and it was like right where we were. So I was just like, okay, we're going to plan, like we kind of planned that one out. But the rest of them, they landed where they landed, and they all landed, like I said, a goddamn atheist manifesto. So.
Mission accomplished. Let's go.
Exactly.
Doing here with Bobby from 16. This is a Vulgar Display of podcast. New album, February 7th, out on Relapse Records. Guides for the Misguided. Physical media is coming back. Physical vinyl, tapes, 8 tracks, all that stuff. How you going to be releasing this? Is there going to be any physical copies?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's like I don't know, 2, 3 colors. One of them that's 200. There's 100 clear vinyl. The rest are on, I believe, on this orange vinyl or brown vinyl. I don't know until it all comes out. But yeah, we're big into the collectible nature of vinyl, especially, and of music. Still, it's the only, it keeps a lot of us afloat. Vinyl does.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask. Is that sort of the lifeboat maybe at this point of maintaining a band? Because it's not easy, where it used to be record sales and those kinds of things. It's not that anymore. So you have to get out and play live, and you have to sell stuff, right?
I call it like the punk rock flea market, man. You gotta just go sell your wares. It's or punk rock farmers market. That's what every show is. You're just like, here's my shit. Um, Luckily, I don't really. I mean, anyone can say this, but I can definitely say it. We definitely don't do this for the money. And the money has long since left. And a lot of people in the music business that were in it for the money have left as well. So I think what you're left with is just a bunch of true believers who are going to do this regardless of whatever the fuck's going on. Like, there's a good like Lydia Lunch quote of, I'm making art, not commerce. Hopefully if you stay focused on just making art, people appreciate that. And that catches on. But I don't know, man, trying to make commerce, I ain't got time for that. That's I don't think I could I don't think I'd be very good at it either. So leave that to others.
We have to end the interview right here.
Yeah.
That was perfect. That was a mic drop moment. You mic drop that stuff. Yeah. Totally digging these songs, man. Can't wait to hear the rest. Guides for the Misguided, February 7th on Relapse Records. Bobby, appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Yes, thank you so
Thanks,
much.
guys. I got another one right now, but appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, man.
Check it out. I definitely can't forget the fucking name of that one, of Vulgar Display Podcast.